Now you guys should know that you can enter to win one of these great flagship phones by simply going to the link in the description below and participating in the poll at the bottom of the article. And one of those people will be chosen to win one of those great flagships. Now, no surprise here, we got to start off with the granddaddy of Android flagship phones, the Galaxy S7 and S7 Edge. And they fixed many of the problems of the S6 line introduced last year. While they don't offer removable batteries, Samsung did include expandable storage on both handsets in case the 32GB of onboard storage isn't enough for you. Samsung mostly stuck to the same design this time around, and they did shrink down the camera bumps on the back and made the devices a little thicker to make room for larger batteries. In terms of specs, these are top-of-the-line smartphones. They come with Quad HD Super AMOLED displays, a Qualcomm Snapdragon 820 processor, 4GB of RAM, a great 12-megapixel rear-facing cam, and it runs the latest version of Android. Instead of featuring the same screen sizes this time around though, Samsung kept the S7 at a smaller 5.1 inch, while the S7 has bumped up to 5.5 inches. Now let's talk the Nexus 6P. As the successor to last year's Motorola Nexus 6, Google unveiled the Huawei-made Nexus 6P. This device is the higher end of the two Nexus phones announced at Google event last year, and that's incredibly apparent when looking at the spec sheet. Now it comes with a big 5.7-inch Quad HD AMOLED display, a super fast Snapdragon 820 processor, a giant 3,450 mAh battery, and an impressive 12-megapixel rear-facing camera. You want to get your hands on one? Well, the Nexus P is pretty cheap considering the specs and build quality. You can purchase it directly from Google starting at just $499. Now let's talk the HTC 10. HTC needed a saving grace this year, and the 10 just may be it. The Taiwanese company finally designed a phone that's different enough from its predecessor, yet still sports a familiar design language. With an all-metal chassis, front-mounted fingerprint sensor, and a new and improved speaker setup, the HTC easily made its way onto our Android's best phone list. Under the hood, the 10 comes with some killer specs, a 5.2-inch Quad HD display, a Snapdragon 820 processor, 4GB of RAM, and it's in line with most other flagships this year. And it also comes with expandable storage up to 200GB and a 3,000 mAh battery that will have no problems lasting an entire day on a single charge. HTC also improved the camera this time around, which was a big flaw in last year's One M9 flagship. Now let's talk about the ever-popular LG G5. The distinctly different design of the LG G5 may not be for everyone, but there's little denying that LG went out of its way to try and innovate in a market where big changes like this aren't very common anymore. Spec-wise, we're looking at a Qualcomm Snapdragon 820 processor with 4GB of RAM, a 5.3-inch display, and 32GB of onboard storage with microSD for expansion. The specs here are certainly impressive all across the board. It's also worth mentioning that LG has revamped its software, making it faster and less bloated. One controversial move with the software, however, is the removal of the app drawer in favor of LG's, quote, simplified experience. Now let's talk Huawei's P9. Huawei's new P9 flagship certainly ticks a lot of the right boxes, and it has a fast processor, plenty of onboard storage, a big battery, and is very thin. It also runs Marshmallow with Huawei's 4.1 software overlay. As noted by our very own tech stud Gary Sims, the Huawei P9 is a great smartphone for camera enthusiasts and a good device for smartphone enthusiasts. It's not a complete overhaul from the company's P8 flagship from last year, but it is a huge step up. Right now, you can purchase the P9 in Europe starting at €599, though we still haven't seen a US release just yet. Now, no best Android list would be complete without the Galaxy Note 5. It's hard denying that Samsung has always been the king of large screen smartphones, and that still holds true even today. With a crystal clear 5.7-inch display, powerful Exynos 7420 CPU, and a killer 16-megapixel rear-facing camera, the Galaxy Note 5 is one of the best Android phones available on the market right now. With all that being said though, this device doesn't come without its compromises. Samsung's decision to omit the microSD card slot and removable battery has been a controversial one over the past year, especially among Samsung die-hard fans. Even with these notable omissions though, the Note 5 can still be considered one of the best out there. Today, nearly anything is possible. If you can dream it, your team can build it. Makers of collaboration software that helps your team work better, together, create and share content, organize results with the flexibility of Confluence. They even have instant messaging and video chat with HipChat. You can also manage code in real time with the power of Bitbucket. Visit Atlassian.com and see how Jira, Confluence, HipChat, and Bitbucket can give your team everything they need to succeed. Now I know that every time I do this, one of you out there is going to complain that I missed your favorite flagship phone. Well, let me know in the comments below. I will be checking them out.